Let me just say that I am used to Trump committing crimes, but it's not often you see him do it so blatantly as this. Trump had taken to Truth Social today, writing, "I'm reading reports that failed former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, will be testifying before the Fulton County grand jury. He shouldn't. I barely know him, but he was, right from the beginning of this witch hunt, a nasty disaster for those looking into the election fraud that took place in Georgia. He refused having a special session to find out what went on, became very unpopular with Republicans, I refused to endorse him, and fought the truth all the way. A loser, he went to FNCNN. Now let's not waste any time in calling this out for exactly what it is: witness tampering and obstruction of justice. Trump states in his own post that he knows Jeff Duncan will be testifying, thereby making it crystal clear that he is aware he is a witness. And then he goes on to state that he shouldn't testify, meaning that there is no ambiguity here. Donald Trump broke the law by tampering with a witness. Jeff Duncan himself was asked for his response to the intimidation efforts by Trump, and this is what he had to say.
Jeff, I want to start with you and get your reaction to that social media post by Donald Trump. He's insulting you and calling you out. Do you believe he's trying to intimidate you as a witness?
Well, this close into my testimony, which is going to be tomorrow, I'm going to refrain from any comment, with the exception of saying, which was just pointed out, he did misspell my name.
And how about what you are anticipating you'll be asked about tomorrow? If you won't comment on what Trump said, can you at least give us an idea of what you're anticipating?
Well, I'm just going to answer the questions as presented to me, much like I did in the special grand jury. Whatever the questions are, to the best of my ability, I'm going to answer the questions. And, you know, this is an important part of the healing process for the Republican Party. This is painful. This may feel ugly to some, but this is part of this process, right? We've got to put these facts and figures and details and reality on display for America, specifically for Republicans to see what reality really is. And, you know, the social media game that Donald Trump has played over the years, it's shallow, right? You don't have to be any more than a few hundred characters worth of information with no facts behind it, with no details to stir the crowd. And that's certainly been his game for a number of years, and it looks like it's continuing.
And if you're wondering why Jeff Duncan refused to elaborate on Trump's efforts to intimidate him, maybe, just maybe, it's because those efforts worked. Think about why Jeff Duncan might be just a tad reticent to speak out against Trump, who just attacked him in broad daylight. In a way, Duncan's refusal to condemn Trump or even say anything in response to his tampering is a testament to just how dangerous that tampering is. And let's be clear, this could and absolutely should serve as a basis for a new charge. There is no reason that we shouldn't see a charge added in the Fulton County indictment where Jeff Duncan is testifying, but also in the federal case in Washington, D.C., being overseen by Judge Chutkan. Remember, when Donald Trump showed up for his arraignment, a magistrate judge discussed with him his terms of release. Here's her exact quote: "It is important to comply with the conditions of release," the judge says. "If you fail to comply, a warrant may be issued for your arrest and you may be held before trial. Your most important condition of release is that you not commit a state, federal, or local offense. If so, your release may be revoked. You may also face a longer sentence for having committed a crime while on release. I will next set a court date." That you not commit a state, federal, or local offense. To be clear, witness tampering is a violation of Georgia state law. So even though this is a crime committed in Georgia, it can still serve as a predicate for Trump to be remanded to custody in his federal trial, given that the most important condition of release is that he not commit a different crime, which he very clearly did. And by the way, this was a point reiterated by MSNBC's Andrew Weissman.
And then the final point, Nicole, which may sound a little out of left field, is bail. Now, we have seen the former president get bail in Manhattan, in Florida, and in D.C. We have also seen the former president continue to make statements that, at least arguably, are obstruction of justice or intimidating witnesses. Why is that important? Because in Georgia, the statute that may apply here, depending on what is charged, is one where the presumption is one that the defendant has the burden of rebutting. In other words, it's on the defendant to show that he will not commit crimes, that he's not a risk of flight. And let me just give you the exact words, because this is the provision that the court has to find to release somebody on bail in Georgia, which is that the defendant poses no risk of intimidating witnesses or otherwise obstructing the administration of justice. That poses no risk of intimidating witnesses. To me, that is going to be, for a judge who is going to treat Donald Trump or anyone else like any other defendant, that could be a problem, because just today, we saw a continuation of the attacks on the D.C. federal judge, and even Truth Social saying that Jeff Duncan, the former lieutenant governor, should not comply with a grand jury subpoena in Georgia. You can't tell a witness not to comply with a grand jury subpoena unless there's some legal ability to do that. But that's not what the former president did. So it'll be interesting to see how the judge deals with bail as we go forward.
So at this point, the onus is on both the prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia, to show that they're taking this crime seriously, because if Trump is not hit with a charge, there is zero doubt in my mind that he'll commit this crime again. And it's also on the judge in Washington, D.C. to stand by the court's earlier comments about the conditions of Trump's release. If they're going to make his release conditional upon his ability to comply with the terms, then when he breaks those terms, the court has to be prepared to actually hold him to account for it. Again, no one forced the court to set those conditions for his release, but because they already did, now they should be prepared to make good on their promise. Donald Trump should be remanded to custody, and if that happens, the court should make clear that it was based on his conscious decision to commit more crimes. And that's a point that was drilled down by my Legal Breakdown co-host, Glenn Kirshner.
Yeah, you know, it's like if you threaten punishment for your child when your child does wrong and you don't follow through on the punishment, the lesson you're teaching your child is you can go ahead and keep doing wrong with impunity, because these threats are hollow. I think at this point, the system has to step up, has to assert the rule of law if Donald Trump, is to be deterred at all. And not only Donald Trump, but if other defendants who are on pretrial release are to be deterred, are to feel like, it's really important to abide by the conditions of release set by the judge when I'm in this pretrial release status. I mean, Donald Trump is really testing the bounds of the rule of law in America, both federal and state. And let's hope that the judges begin to make good on their promises that if you violate the conditions I have set for you, there will be hell to pay.
And by the way, this isn't just about holding Trump accountable for his actions for the sake of consistency. There is a very clear rationale as to why the court must not allow Trump to be out in public if he refuses to abide by the terms of his release, if he refuses to not intimidate witnesses and impugn a judge and issue inflammatory statements about the case. What he's trying to do is taint the jury pool by issuing these claims. The court has a right to a jury pool that hasn't been influenced by Donald Trump's lies, and the court also has the right to curtail a pretrial defendant's free speech rights in service of protecting that jury pool and the integrity of the trial. That is how it works in this country, and that's how it's always worked. So if it becomes clear that the integrity of this case will be harmed by Trump's continued ability to speak freely or to walk freely, then it is absolutely 100% within the court's rights to revoke his bail and remand him to custody. So now we'll wait and see what happens in both Georgia and in Washington, D.C., but at this point, it's clear that both the prosecutors and the judges have what they need to put him in a jail cell pending trial. And while Trump may actually prefer it, considering there's nothing he loves more than playing the victim card, something tells me that swing voters aren't exactly going to be over the moon casting their ballots for a guy currently sitting in prison awaiting trial for not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 criminal indictments facing likely 100 charges. Trump said he wanted to be the law and order candidate. Now he gets to actually prove it. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.